One new scholarship that I have saved for last. It involves a story that you'll hear more about in just a few moments, so I won't give too much away. But I do want to offer our heartfelt thanks to Colonel Mo Ward, husband of Shirley Tison, class of 1949, who passed away recently. Through the inspired generosity, determination, and the support of friends who also loved deeply Shirley, Mo has contributed $300,000 to receive a $300,000 match and establish a full presidential scholarship in Shirley's name. What a wonderful way to honor your beloved wife, Mo. We are so grateful for that. I'm going to leave the rest of the story to Colonel Ward himself, but we are honored to have him and his family with us today. Following his remarks, you'll hear from a few students as well. To introduce Colonel Ward, I'd like to welcome his son-in-law, Chris Carmack, a 2003 McCall School MBA graduate and father of Christina Carmack, a 2011 graduate of Queens. Please join me in welcoming Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Davies. Good afternoon. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mo Ward for going on 25 years now. During that time, I've come to realize that Mo is the best man I know, the best man I have ever known, and will quite probably be the best man I ever have the fortune to know. By my estimation, Mo has had 3 acts in his adult life. His first act was his service to our country. 70 years ago, at the age of 18, Mo joined the Army Air Corps in 1942 and became a navigator on a B-17 crew. During a bombing raid over Munich in 1944, his plane received a direct hit, and Mo spent 25 minutes floating earthward as Allied bombers and German anti-aircraft continued to trade bombs and aircraft flak. It is hard not to see how blessed he is to be here today and how blessed we are to have him. Mo's time in the Air Force also enforced his dedication to education. Not only did he constantly extend his own education, he worked to educate others, first as an ROTC instructor and later as the commandant of two institutions in the Air Force. At his last duty assignment as the head of the academic instructor and allied officer school at the Air University, he was responsible for educating the educators and dignitaries from foreign countries. His second act began in 1973 when he retired from the Air Force and came back to Charlotte with his beloved Shirley and my beloved Tison. He immediately jumped into public service upon his arrival, and his impact and dedication to Charlotte was so great that John Belk proclaimed him a Knight of the Queen City. The third act began on January 1st, 1990, when he retired. After 48 years of a life in service to others, Mo exited public life and settled into a private life with his soulmate, Shirley. Their dedication to one another was immeasurable, and for nearly 22 years, they spent every day together. Their love was the purest example I have ever seen and what we should all aspire to emulate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a blessed man with a dedication to education, a Knight of the Queen City, and one half of the greatest love story I have ever witnessed, Colonel Mo Ward.
Good afternoon. I want to thank my son-in-law for that beautiful introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank President Davies for giving me the opportunity to talk with you about the Shirley Tison Ward 49 Presidential Scholarship. I also want to thank Adelaide Davis for her long-standing friendship and encouragement in making this happen. I would also like to recognize continuing contributions made to Queens by my friends Francis and Don Evans and Kathy and Bill Grigg, as well as the inspiration of Shirley's classmate, Virginia Gray Vance. My beloved wife of 61 years died last September, and this presidential scholarship honoring her was made possible through the generous contributions of several friends who wish to remain anonymous, and of course, the magnificent matching gift of Mr. Porter Byron. Shirley Tison, a Charlotte native, graduated from Queens with the class of 1949. Her activities here spread throughout campus life. I will enumerate a few. My darling was president of the day students, as they were called then, rather than commuters. She was editor of the student newspaper, member of Honor Council and May Court, and a member of Alpha Delta Pi sorority. She was recognized with membership in Who's Who in American colleges and universities and Alpha Gamma honorary leadership fraternity. A little personal part. Shirley and I met on a blind date on Christmas night, 1945. She was 18, halfway through her freshman year. I was 21, just back from overseas, out of the Army Air Corps, and ready to start college on the very next day. Neither Shirley nor I were interested in blind dating on Christmas night, but each of our friends was persuasive. That night, after we took the girls home, I told my friend Eddie, I have just met the girl I want to marry. That remains the greatest Christmas present I ever received. During her years at Queens and mine at Chapel Hill, I commuted home to Charlotte nearly every weekend to pursue my courtship and to protect her from those Davidson boys. She was making the dean's list here, while I was barely surviving UNC with a needed C average. Oh, but it was worth it. Queens was an important part of our lives, with Sunday night suppers at the 80 Pie House. How many grilled cheese sandwiches did I have? Dances in the dining hall, and other campus social events. It was at one of those dances that I presented her a ring formalizing our engagement. To cap it off, we were honored when Dr. Hunter Blakely, president of Queens, at his request, performed our marriage ceremony. You see, her student years at Queens were a vital part of Shirley's development into the well-rounded, contributing adult she became. And her interest in and support of Queens did not end with her graduation. As Chris said, we returned to Charlotte in 1973 after our career in the Air Force, settled into a home on Brandon Road, just a few blocks away. We were members of Friends of the Library, Friends of Art, and Shirley, as a member of the Alumni Board, contributed many volunteer hours to campus improvement. And James, I might say, making more than a few calls in support of financial contributions. I hope you understand through these comments why it is important to me to have Shirley remembered at Queens in this very special way. Additionally, I would point out some other attachments we have with Queens. Shirley's mother, Mrs. Tison, was a dormitory mother in the 1960s. And you met our son-in-law, Chris, graduate of McCall School, and our granddaughter, Christina, graduated last May with a degree in education. Shirley's parents emphasized to her and her brother, Ben Tison, the importance of education as a necessity for a full and meaningful life. Her experience at Queens solidified her sense of value for a solid education. And throughout her life, she encouraged and supported many young people in achieving that goal. And so my goal with the Shirley Tison Ward 49 Presidential Scholarship is not only to honor her memory, but to encourage and support young students at Queens who show academic and leadership qualities in achieving their goals. In so doing, we are contributing to the abilities of our nation's future and to the enhancement of this magnificent educational facility, Queens University of Charlotte. I have one final, very personal note to add. I've been encouraged by Adelaide and Anna, my two dear friends who have helped me through planning this scholarship and all of the necessary details that went with it. We've had lunch together a number of times, and I'm a bit of a romantic. I find pleasure in poems, especially poems of hope, and they encourage me to read a poem to you today, so I shall. I just discovered this a couple of months ago, even though it was written 300 years ago. Its title is A Lost Love. I little thought it thus could be, in days more sad and fair, that earth could have a place for me, and thou no longer there. Yet death cannot our hearts divide, or make thee less my own. 'Twere sweeter sleeping at thy side than watching here alone. Yet never, never can we part, while memory holds her reign. Thine, thine is this withered heart, till we shall meet again. That touched me so, and I want to say that my faith assures me we shall meet again. I know we shall. I want to thank all of you for all that you do for Queens and supporting this wonderful institution. Thank you.